Today we are going to be graphing special cases. And first of all, if this looks green, I am very sorry. I've been having problems with my projector. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's white. I never know what I'm going to get. I've had white all day and it decided to go green right before this video. So sorry. Okay, special cases. These are lines that only cross one axis. So you know how we've got our y-axis and we have our x-axis. So special lines are lines that only cross one of these. So what kind of lines would only cross the x-axis? They only cross the x-axis. Those would be our vertical lines. Okay, if the line only crosses the y-axis, so here's the y-axis, if the lines only cross the y-axis, then those would be our horizontal lines. Okay, now we're going to make just a little Venn diagram to talk about our special cases, our vertical lines and our horizontal lines. So let's go ahead and do the horizontal over here. And we can do the vertical over here. Okay, so we just saw the horizontal lines, those only cross the y-axis. So let's put crosses y-axis. Now, if they only cross the y-axis, then they have a special name to their equation, and it would be y equals some number. Okay, and if those are horizontal lines, what kind of slope do they have? 0. So the slope is 0 of all horizontal lines. Okay, our vertical lines. These lines only cross the x-axis. So and if those lines only cross the x-axis, then their equations would be x equals some number. Okay, and if they are vertical lines, what kind of slope do they have? Undefined. So the slope is undefined for all vertical lines. Okay, and things that aren't horizontal or aren't vertical, those, I'm sorry, the things that they have in common, our horizontal lines and our vertical lines, the things that they have in common is the fact that they are not diagonal, and they only cross one axis. So that's what horizontal and vertical lines have in common. They're not diagonal and they only cross one axis. Okay, so now we're going to draw a bunch of our special cases, our horizontal and our vertical lines, and we're just going to look at the different information that we know about them. So this first problem says to graph a horizontal line that passes through the point 8, -2. So first, let's plot our point. So I'm going to go right 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and down 2. That's our point 8, -2. Okay, I want to draw a horizontal line through it. So that would be like this. Okay, what is the slope of that line? 0. The y-intercept means where does that line cross the y-axis or touch it? And it touches the y-axis right there. And what is that value? -2. Or we can use the ordered pair. What would the ordered pair be? 0, -2. Remember, all y-intercepts have an x-coordinate of 0. Okay, we saw up above that if lines only cross the y-axis, then they have the equation of y equals. And what is our y value everywhere on this line? Our y value is -2 everywhere on that line. Okay, domain. Domain is what is happening with your x's. Range is what is happening with your y's. So the x-axis runs left and right. So when I'm asking about domain, I want to know what's happening left and right. Does this line go forever left, forever right? Yes. If it goes forever left, it hits all the negatives. When it goes forever right, it hits all the positives. So the domain would be all real numbers. Okay, range, those are the y's. And the y's are what's happening up and down, because that's how the y-axis runs. So what's happening up and down? Does this line here go forever up and forever down? No. The only place it goes is right here where this y is a -2. You never see the graph any higher than this or any lower than this. So the only thing we have for our range is y equals -2. That's the only y value on that line. Okay, number 2. This time we want to graph a vertical line that passes through the point -5, 4. Okay, -5, I go left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The y-coordinate is 4, so I go up 4. And if I want to draw a vertical line through that, it would look like this. What is the slope of that line? That's right, the slope is undefined for all vertical lines. They are too steep to climb up. Okay, the y-intercept. Where does this line touch or cross the y-axis? It doesn't, so there isn't one. We write none. Okay, if our lines only cross the x-axis, then we call them x equals. And what is our x value everywhere on this line? Our x value is -5. Okay, domain. This is the x's. What's happening left and right? Does this line go forever left and forever right? Nope. My x is a -5 here. Do you see the line any farther left than that? Any farther right than that? Nope. So our domain is just x equals -5. Your range are your y's. The y-axis is up and down, so range wants to know what's happening up and down. Does this graph go forever up and forever down? Sure does. If it goes forever down, it hits all the negatives. Forever up, it hits all the positive. So the range is all real numbers. And remember, if you can't remember domain or x's and range or your y's, remember Dr. XY. Domain x, range y. All right, let's flip it over. Okay, number 3. This time they give me the equation. They tell us to graph x equals 5 on the grid provided. So if it says x equals, I know it's only going to cross the x-axis. So I'm going to go to where my x is a 5, so I go right 5, and if my line is only going to cross the x-axis, then it's going to look like this. All vertical lines are x equals. Okay, what's the slope? Undefined. What would you tell me the y-intercept is? None. That's because it never touches or crosses the y-axis. Okay, how about domain? What do you think? Your domain are your x's. What's happening? The only x value we have is 5. There's nothing farther left. There's nothing farther right. So our domain is just x is 5. How about range? Range are your y's. What's happening up and down? And the graph goes forever up, forever down. So our range would be all real numbers. It hits all the negatives, all the positives. Are you getting tired of this green yet? Oh my gosh, it's awful. I'm so sorry. Let's give ourselves a smiley face to make ourselves feel better. Number 4 says graph a line that has 0 slope that passes through the point 4, 3. Okay, so let's plot our point first. So I'm going to go right 4 and up 3. Now, if the slope is 0, what kind of line has 0 slope? Horizontal. Okay, so we already know the slope is 0. The problem told us that. The y-intercept, where does our line touch or cross the y-axis? And it touches the y-axis right there. What's that value? 3. Let's write that as an ordered pair. What would that look like? 0, 3. And if lines only cross the y-axis, they are y equals, and what is our y everywhere on this line? 3. So all vertical lines are x equals. All horizontal lines are our y equals. Okay, let's talk domain and range. Domain are your x's, what's happening left and right, and this line goes forever left, forever right, so all reals. Range are your y's, what's happening up and down with this line, and the only y value we have is a 3. There's nothing higher, there's nothing lower, so our range is simply y equals 3. Okay, 2 more. Number 5, we should know this by now. What's the slope of this line you see? Undefined. What's its y-intercept? Doesn't have one. It never crosses the y-axis. And all vertical lines have the equation of x equals, because that's the axis they cross. And what is our x value everywhere on this line? -2. Okay, domain, those are our x's, what's happening left and right. Well, the only x we have is a -2. There's nothing farther left, there's nothing farther right, so the domain is simply x equals -2. Range, what's happening up and down. Graph goes forever down, forever up, so the range is all real numbers. And our last one, we're almost there. What is the slope of number 6? The slope is 0. What is its y-intercept? Where does it touch or cross the y-axis? How much is that? 7. Let's write it as an ordered pair. 0, 7. Okay, all horizontal lines have an equation of y equals. That's because they only cross the y-axis. And everywhere on this line, our y has a value of 7. Okay, domain or x's. What is happening left and right? This line goes forever left, forever right, all reals. Range, or your y's, what's happening up and down? What would you tell me? Our y is a 7. There's nothing lower, there's nothing higher. We are done here, folks. Smiley face. Sorry for the green hue that you see on your video. Thank you.